Yet another round of oil price hikes welcome motorists back to the road this morning. President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is taking over the Agriculture Department. Vice President-elect Sara Duterte, meanwhile, vows to review the K-12 program once she assumes the position of DepEd Secretary. And incumbent Vice President Leni Robredo hopes her successor will continue some of the institutional projects of the office. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. Several oil companies have implemented another round of oil price hikes this morning. In separate advisories, some fuel companies have announced that they're increasing their gasoline prices by 80 centavos per liter today, while diesel is up by 3 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. The price of kerosene has also increased to 1 peso and 70 centavos per liter for some fuel companies as of this morning. As oil prices keep going up, many TNVS drivers are choosing not to hit the road again. This as a TNVS company is asking for a higher flag down rate to recoup losses. Gerard de la Peña has the report.
A part of the compartment of Chris's TNVS unit has become a storage for his personal belongings. He said he only goes home to Bulacan on days that his unit is coded due to high prices of fuel.
Talagang pahirap na pahirap po kasi ramdam po talaga namin yung pagtaas ng gasolina eh.
Others like Christopher sought other jobs rather than go back to driving.
Kung walang pasahero, abono pa ako gasolina, abono ako ng boundary.
Many drivers opted not to go back after the strict lockdowns brought about by the pandemic. Transport network company Grab said that out of the 65,000 unit cap set by the LTFRB, only about a third, or roughly 20,000, are now plying the streets. But now that restrictions have been eased, the challenge has shifted to soaring oil prices.
Obviously, they're scared that gas prices are going to go up and they're not going to make money. So buying a car is a big tactical decision for a lot.
To somehow help its drivers, Grab is asking the LTFRB to raise the flag down rate by 20 pesos. Because of the low supply of TNVS units, commuters like MIAA find it difficult to get a ride.
Minsan matagal eh. May mga, if ever na may makuha ka, meron magka-cancel, ganun.
Motorists will have to shell out more for fuel. Prices of gasoline will go up by 80 centavos per liter, diesel by over 3 pesos, and kerosene by 1 peso and 70 centavos. The Energy Department attributed this to weak peso, higher importation costs, and other factors.
Bagyang lumiit ito, no? And we're expecting na lilit nga. Kaya lang at biglang tumaas ang presyo ng dolyar last week. Kaya yung multiplier ho natin sa dolyar, hindi ho constant tumaas. Kaya i-multiply mo yung per barrel, tumaas yung net effect niya. Ayun ho ang isang rason kung bakit talagang bagyang tumaas ulit.
With oil prices still on the rise, groups representing different public transportation modes are all calling for fare increases to offset the impact of high pump prices on their livelihood. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has named himself as the temporary agriculture chief. This move naturally was praised by some and slammed by others. Marlene Alcaide with the report.
Increasing rice production. This is one of the things President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will be focusing on once he is finally seated as the Agriculture Secretary. But Marcos Jr. clarifies this assignment will only be temporary. He has decided to hold the post in the meantime to ensure that the looming food crisis in the country will be addressed.
We're going back to basics and trying, and we will rebuild the value chain of agriculture. And that is why I thought it's important that the President take that portfolio so that not only to make it clear to everyone what a high priority we put on the agricultural sector, but also as a practical matter so that things move quickly because the events of the global economy are moving very quickly.
He sees food prices rising even more in the coming months due to various global events, including the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
In response to the events in Ukraine, which have affected the Philippines' agriculture and including the food supply, in a very serious way. We are forecasting that there will be an increase in food prices in the next quarters that will come, simply because of the outside forces.
He says the government must respond promptly to a food crisis issue.
We have to be able to be agile. We have to be able to respond properly in a measured way as soon as there is a situation that needs to be addressed.
He also notes that the Agriculture Department must be restructured.
Marami tayong mga kailangang palitan. Marami tayong mga medyo naging mga iba't ibang opisina na hindi na masyadong nagagamit o kailangan nang i-retool para sa post-pandemic dahil nga iba na yung ating ginagawa ngayon.
Meanwhile, Agri-Group Samahan ng Industriya na Agrikultura or SINAG lauded Marcos Jr.'s move. For now, they say only the president has the power to fix what previous agriculture officials broke. But another group, Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas or KMP, disagrees with Marcos Jr. They ask how can the president-elect fix problems in agriculture when he's inexperienced in the sector. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Outgoing Agriculture Secretary William Dar also agrees with President-elect Marcos Jr.'s move to claim the post. Dar says it's just right for the President-elect to take the post since the country's agriculture problem is so severe. He adds that having the President-elect head the department will ensure that the agriculture sector will finally be prioritized.
From my point of view, maganda naman yung ganun na sitwasyon para once and for all, may tama na yung right priorities sa agrikultura.
In the first 24 hours after her inauguration, Vice President-elect Sara Duterte laid down her plans as the incoming Education Secretary. Let's get the details in this report from Marian Enriquez.
A day after taking her oath of office, Vice President-elect Sara Duterte laid down some of her plans as incoming Education Secretary. Though the call to implement mandatory military training is not under her department, Inday Sara is hoping that the incoming Congress will prioritize its passage.
I hope that it will be included since marami namang pending bills dyan sa Congress with regard to that. Iba-iba ang pangalan, iba-iba ang titles. So sana masali siya.
This has been on Inday Sara's wish list since she announced her candidacy. Question is, will Congress push for it as part of the priority agenda? It may not be far off as she chairs the CMD, perceived to be the likely majority party in the lower house.
Incoming Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte is also looking to fully implement face-to-face classes by August. She'll also prioritize the review of the K-12 program as instructed by President-elect Bongbong Marcos.
It is something na napag-usapan din namin ni President Marcos, and he already gave instructions with regard to the review of the implementation of the K-12 program of the Department of Education.
Duterte said she is open to dialogue with education stakeholders and will personally meet with outgoing DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones on Saturday.
Ang success ng City Government of Davao is precisely that we partner with the private sector. I will take that klase na pagtatrabaho doon sa Department of Education.
With just a few days left as mayor of Davao City, Inday Sara bid her colleagues at the Davao City Hall goodbye, though she vows to still visit from time to time as long as her schedule permits. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Outgoing Vice President Leni Robredo says she has already sent a message of congratulations to her successor, Sara Duterte. In an ambush interview, Robredo says she wished Duterte Carpio well, and Robredo adds that her office is always open for consultations or if Duterte Carpio's team has questions or inquiries regarding the OVP. Robredo also hopes that Duterte Carpio will continue the OVP's institutional projects, which started during her term. And the outgoing Vice President is also hopeful that the transition process will run smoothly, since many of their staff members will remain at the OVP. The Saudi Arabian Airlines plane has been recovered and now transferred back to the pavement after it skidded off the NAIA Terminal 1 runway on Monday afternoon. After landing yesterday, 6 of the plane's right landing gear veered off at the pavement at the end portion of a taxiway while maneuvering toward the bay parking. Some of its tiles even got stuck in the mud outside the pavement. All 420 passengers and crew members inside the plane were safe and were escorted to the terminal. The Manila International Airport Authority says no other flight was affected by the incident. And the MIAA says inspection of the plane is still ongoing, while authorities are awaiting the initial incident report from the Civil Aviation Authority.
All passengers are safe. They were able to disembark, about a total of 420, including crew. I don't have the timings right now, but they were asked to disembark immediately. That was the first plan of action.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 9 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.